All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi Stadium after training camp practice number 8 with a little instant reaction video. Today was probably the most physical, longest practice of the entire training camp thus far. Yesterday was a low rep day. Today was a high rep day for sure. And the Niners worked really, really hard. Now, this was clearly the toughest practice thus far. Brock Purdy finished 12 of 18, 2 touchdowns. He completed 67% of his passes. He did have an interception that he threw to Tayshaun Gibson in this one. Sam Darnold completed 12 of 14 passes, so I had him down at 86%. Trey Lance, 8 of 11 passes he completed, 73%. And Brandon Allen, 6 of 7 completed for 86% completion percentage. So, to me, the things that really stood out today as far as this practice was how well Brock Purdy played in the move the ball drill at the end of practice. He looked really, really good. He connected with Ayuk and Debo and Kittle down the field and really on one sequence moved the ball down the field in 3 pass plays. Probably his best throw of the day was an incomplete pass. He threw it to Ayuk, who it was on the sidelines. It was a perfectly thrown ball, and Ayuk leaped, dove for it, hit him in the hands, but it popped out. I thought he really led Ayuk perfectly on that pass. That was probably his best throw of the day. Now, one thing that's standing out as far as a theme today is just how high these completion percentages have been against the #1 defense in the NFL. As I said, 67% for Purdy, 86% for Allen and Darnold, 73% for Lance. Even if my counting was off by 1 or 2 either direction, you're still looking at real high completion percentages against a really good defense. Why is that the case? Well, that's a good question. I really don't know why. Is it the lack of Nick Bosa? Is it soft coverage? Is it the offense is now in step? Is it the fact that, some of the throws went underneath, so you're not really challenging down the field? There's a lot of theories as to why the percentages have been high, but they're really high. As far as on the defense, Talanoa Hufanga had a beautiful pass breakup. Deshaun Jameson is playing well. In fact, we talked to Steve Wilks about Jameson after practice. Jameson's playing really well. It's amazing that this kid went undrafted. And I asked Steve Wilks, are you surprised that a guy this good would go undrafted? He says, hey, man, it happens every year. Guys just, scouts just miss. Jameson's 5'10", 180 pounds, so he's not the biggest guy, but, man, this guy can play. And he is going to be nice. I said it before training camp even started. I said, I guarantee you that Deshaun Jameson is going to make this roster, and he's done nothing to change that opinion in this camp. He had a pass breakup today that was fantastic. I mean, he almost picked it off. He's playing fast. He's recognizing the routes. His route recognition's really good. He's mirroring receivers, and he's breaking on the football. He's keeping things real simple. Demo Lenore also had a beautiful pass breakup this afternoon. Lenore's playing at a really, really high level. Taco Charlton has to be talked about here. Taco Charlton is playing, the Niners just signed him yesterday. Got off the plane, came to practice. Yesterday he had a great practice. Today he followed it up with another great practice. I watched him in the one-on-ones. He was excellent. He's got a spin move that's really nasty. Will just leave offensive linemen in his wake. He had to have won at least 2 or 3 or 4 reps in the one-on-ones. And then in the team portion of the practice, he had a tackle for a loss in the backfield. This guy's getting penetration, and he looks really, really good. So that's a great sign. Taco Charlton's got an opportunity here to make this football team. Their defensive end depth is not what it could have been. It's not what it was a year ago. Last year they had Ebukam and they had a Menahue. They had Jordan Willis. They had depth at defensive end, and maybe a guy like Charlton would have had a hard time making the roster a year ago. But he looks really good. And, his weight has fluctuated. He looks light. I mean, I would say Taco Charlton's probably 260, and he's 6'5". He's every bit of 6'5", and he's probably about 260 now. Even at Michigan, he played at about 270. So to see him at 260 pounds, all I would say is, whatever he's done with his body, he shouldn't change a thing. As long as his strength, the question with Charlton is how strong is he against the run, and how tough is he, how nasty is he? There's some people that believe that Charlton, needs to be a little nastier, needs to be a little tougher against the run. He definitely looked winded late in practice, so maybe his endurance is not great, but and maybe his strength at the point of attack against the run is his weakness still. But as far as just in this scheme, in the wide 9, Chris Kocurek asks his guys to get off the ball, get up the field, rush the passer, put heat on the quarterback, bend the edge. Don't play fast. Don't do a lot of thinking. Don't do a lot of reading and reacting. Get out of your stance and get up the field and go hunt the quarterback. And in some ways, the more I watch Charlton, the more I think, you know what? This guy's ideally suited for this role. So, he might just be the right guy in the right place at the right time. They need defensive end help, and this guy needs a scheme where he's not asked to do a lot as a run defender, and he's really just asked to burn that edge as a pass rusher, get out of his stance, and get up the field. And if they can keep it real simple for him, and if he can build his endurance a little bit, I mean, you got to play the run a little bit, but the job is to rush the passer. And this guy's got spin moves. He's got speed. He's got speed to get the edge. To me, I mean, I've watched a lot of this guy going back to Michigan. He always looked, I would say, 10 to 15 pounds heavier than this, and a guy who didn't have this kind of explosiveness. Right now, he looks great. And Kocurek said it the other day. My eyes tell me that when I watch him. And Steve Wilks was asked about him today, and he's like, man, this guy got off the plane, and he's doing it. So 49ers are feeling real good about Taco Charlton. Alex Barrett had a nice sack today of Sam Darnold. Zane Gonzalez made a 55-yard field goal. He looked really good. Marcelino McCrary-Ball made some plays. Marcelino just keeps showing up. Spencer Wagee won some of his one-on-ones. And another guy that Steve Wilks talked about, really impressed him, is Jalen Graham, the rookie linebacker. So, I mean, I'll tell you, the linebacker competition is going to be fierce. Marcelino's balling out. Graham and Winters are starting to really show that they've got a lot of talent. And it's going to be tough to cut any of those three guys. And if you don't cut those three guys, I mean, obviously you're not cutting Greenlaw, and you're not cutting, Fred Warner. So that's 5 linebackers right there. So what about Curtis Robinson? What about Flanagan Fowles? What about Oren Burks? The competition is going to be absolutely fierce throughout the rest of camp. So I'm really eager to see what this team looks like when they practice against the Raiders next week. Different outfit, different team. These teams don't know each other as well as obviously you know your own team. What's the impact of that? But Ayuk, Debo, TDP, Mason, CMC all look terrific today on offense, and I just named a bunch of guys for you on defense. So great practice overall. I would say, Lance threw some beautiful balls for sure. He didn't have one of those throws where he just misses. He was really solid. He looks good. Darnold was looking good. Purdy really came alive in the move the ball portion, which is, I mean, that's when they're going live. I mean, that is far and away the most important part of practice, is when you're trying to move the ball against a defense. And he looked outstanding. He was in great rhythm. So 49ers had a long practice today. It was a tough practice. The quarterbacks are completing a very high percentage. What does that mean for the defense? We'll find out in time. But, man, when you look at guys that you really weren't banking on to look good on defense, like Wagee and Charlton and Barrett and Marcelino, and Jameson, all kind of opening eyes. I think if you're Steve Wilkes, you got to feel really good about where you're at. All right, that is our instant reaction video to practice number 8. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Get the brisket chili, Pig in a Pickle. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. Have a great day from Santa Clara. Larry Krueger on the Krug Show.